All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Dave here, talking again about real music and more tragedy, and doing it in real time for real people just like you and me. Today's daily unexpected death. Yeah, I'm going to start to do a segment maybe every single day. Today's mysterious, sudden, and unexpected death in the music world. So I'm kind of in my lane, dudes. All right. Steve Albini. It says here in utero engineer and punk rock veteran dead at 61. 61. Okay. And they are going to tell you the cause of death here. So Steve Albini, the prolific punk rock musician. Notice if you do punk rock, you're always considered prolific. Um, and audio engineer who worked on albums including Nirvana's In Utero, has died at age 61. In a statement to ABC Audio on Wednesday, Albini's Chicago recording studio, Electric Audio, confirmed that he passed away the night of Tuesday, May 7th, of a heart attack. Okay, so he died of a heart attack. Known for his strict adherence to the punk rock ethos, Albini opposed taking royalties on albums he engineered, a term he preferred to producing. I wonder why you would not take royalties. If you did the work, you should probably take the money. Is like I don't remember punk rock forsaking all money and not being rewarded for what they did. Albini's music career began in 1981 with the punk band Big Black. Later in the 80s, he began engineering albums for other artists, including the Pixies' 1988 debut Surfer Rosa. Kurt Cobain, who was a big Pixies fan, so you can blame the Pixies for Nirvana, wanted Albini to work on Nirvana's follow-up to their 1991 smash Nevermind. The result was 1993's In Utero, which took Nirvana's sound in a harsher, really, more dissonant direction. Really? Then from the first album, Nevermind, it made it harsher? Yeah, those pop songs on the first album were really lame. Albini also engineered albums including The Breeders' Pod, PJ Harvey's Rid of Me, and Bush's Razorblade Suitcase. Additionally, he fronted the band Shellac, which is set to release a new album called To All Trains on May 17th. So that will be a posthumous release for this gentleman who is no more. Outside of music, Albini was an avid poker player and won multiple World Series of Poker bracelets. I guess you get a bracelet if you win the World Series of Poker. So, yeah, that's it. Steve Albini passed away due to a heart attack, apparently on Tuesday. So, almost every day I'm getting these. And some days I'm getting multiple, some in the music industry, some outside the music industry. I'm actually getting people who, I don't know why they'd be so panicked, right? Because this is all just a coincidence. Steve Albini probably had some underlying conditions. I'm, getting a little bit apprehensive as I'm not too far away age-wise from Steve Albini. So, people in their 50s and 60s, I mean, I don't know. Maybe we're all not very long for this world. I mean, this just keeps happening. And the way the media reports it, it's just very matter of fact, very perfunctory. Like, just put the little dot on the I and we'll just get on with stuff, I look, I don't know. I don't know. Is this just all a crazy coincidence? I mean, I did a video last week which really dug in to some of the stuff that's going on. And can you attribute this heart attack to something that this person did 2 or 3 years ago? No. All I know is that there is a test called a D-dimer test. And if you decided to go and do the thing, okay, and you thought that was the only way you could go into the recording studio, maybe, and be around other people. This gentleman had a band, so he was out playing with his band called Shellac, or working with other musicians. And everybody in that group of people agreed that we all have to do this. It's our civic duty. If we care about one another, we'll do this. And all this might just be a crazy coincidence because people, they've always died of heart attacks. Is there more death from heart attacks now than there was, say, 10 or 20 years ago? Maybe in addition to the obvious thing that I talk about, maybe there are some other factors, some environmental factors, the stuff that's in the food, the stuff that could be in the water, just lifestyle choices that people make. I don't know. It just seems a little out of control, and it makes me worry that I don't have a lot of time left, and everybody else who is around my age. I mean, I think when you wake up in the morning, and I'm a Christian, so I thank God every morning that I'm given another day. I really do. I didn't do this when I was younger. I just took it for granted. I was like, well, when you're 20 something years old, you're indestructible, bulletproof, nothing's going to happen. But you hit a certain age and you're like, oh man, and all these people just dropping dead all around me. And society too is changing so much that if you're over a certain age, you're starting to feel kind of left out of the conversation to some degree. And so anyway, Steve Albini, who produced music that I wasn't all that fond of, but I'm sure a lot of people thought this guy was a musical, I want to say genius, but somebody who was a pioneer in that area of music. I will give you that. As far as what he accomplished in utero was a big deal. It's not my cup of tea. But, I tend to like the melodic music and not the dark. Why would you take Nirvana and make it even darker than it was? But, here we are 30 something years later, and most of mainstream rock is still dark, and it refuses to pivot back to the days when rock and roll was, for the most part, feel good music. For the most part, not always. But when you had those episodes, right, where it wasn't feel good, oftentimes it was trying to make a point, or it was progressive, and you appreciated the way they played the instruments or what the song was saying, and the music matched up with, the lyrical content. And I think that's where you obviously have exceptions to that rule of rock and roll has to be, this type of music. But predominantly, up until the early 1990s, rock and roll was a feel-good format. But the big story here, obviously, in this video, is that Steve Albini is no more. And we're getting these folks, we're getting them almost once a day. I'm seeing them way too much. And people send me this stuff, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And there are some of these that I don't cover, things outside the music world, things that are just local. We had the bluegrass musician yesterday, and, this happened late yesterday, and I wasn't going to do two of these in one day. So I figured I would cover it today, and hopefully tomorrow, honest to God, hopefully there isn't going to be another one of these. And again, I have no proof, right? I'm going to say this in every video, just as a disclaimer. I have no proof that this was caused by, what I suspect a lot of these might be associated with. However, If you really want to know for sure, you should do the D-dimer test. All right? Just put it out there. If you went to CVS, you might want to do a D-dimer at some point. And if that comes back clear and good, then you might be, fine. Chris Cuomo says his blood work is all kind of screwed up. So wonder what that means, right? He could be a little bit more specific. And of course, back in the day, Chris Cuomo was one of the worst when it came to shaming people into doing supposedly what they had to do to save humanity. Little did Chris know that a lot of this might be doing exactly the opposite. So, best thing to do is pray that this stops and mean it and be sincere about it. Um, just talking about this, I think at some point is somewhat helpful. But the bottom line is, if the majority of people don't care and they're just going to continue on like nothing happened and they want to just ignore this, we're in for some very difficult times ahead. So that's my video. Again, Steve Albini is dead at age 61 due to a heart attack, and that's the story. So hopefully I don't have to read any more of these, at least for a couple of days.